Hello everyone, how you doing? You're very welcome to this week's um hurling What's the Score with myself, Aidan and Raftery. And of course, as always, to talk about all things hurling, we have former Limerick senior hurler Andrew O'Shock to say. Hello Andrew, how are you? You well?
I'm good, Aidan. Yourself?
Not too bad. Yeah, you're well dressed anyway. You're wearing the jacket. You're a sensible man.
Yeah, it's cold where I am now today.
Yeah, so what we're doing today, folks, on the lead up to Christmas, this is Christmas week and all that. So what we're doing is we're going to discuss the team of the year, goal of the year, save of the year as well, and player and young player of the year. So I suppose you saw a few weeks ago we went through the All Stars team, and I think there was a few kind of maybe changes you would have made to it. I think in certain positions. So what we'll do is, I suppose, our team of the year. So we'll start off with goalkeeper. I think we were kind of saying Nicky Quaid had a fantastic season. His distribution was brilliant. All aspects of his game was brilliant. Puck outs, saves under the high ball, diving and all that. Um, he had a fantastic season. But I suppose Owen Kelly, or not Owen Kelly, Owen Murphy got the nod, and that was a fantastic save. But I suppose definitively people would have said that was the reason. But he kind of made some good saves throughout the season. But that was some save. But I suppose, like we were saying that day, for consistency, maybe Nicky was in place for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and if you're breaking it down, so Limerick got four in a row, and if you're picking out a panel of 30 players with the Limerick involvement, if you're picking one player that's the most integral to that success, you could argue it's been Nicky because he has been immense throughout that period. Um, Shot stopping, fair enough, that's the number one job for a goalie, and he is up there. He's up there. He's excellent shot stopper, but again, it's what he brings to the team. Like as I said last time, you have a number of keepers below Nicky whose distribution is excellent. Then you have Nicky whose distribution is far. It's not just above them; it's far superior. It dictates everything that Limerick do, and for that alone, he's his basic job is goalkeeping. He catches the ball, he stops great shots, he takes off his helmet, he's breaking play when he sees there's moment and the need of breaking momentum. He's so clever, intelligent, but then again, he's puck outs. You cannot he doesn't puck to a player to contest it. He pucks the player who's going to space where the player's going. So he doesn't hit a player; he hits a space where he knows the Limerick player is going to be moving into relatively uncontested, and that's you can't coach that. That's just high in hurling intellect by Nicky, and for that reason alone, he's again it's boys. He's from Limerick. He's the neighbouring parish, but again, I think he's far superior to the other the other candidates.
And I suppose as well, in that Limerick team, I think from Nicky, and I'm not taking out anything from Nicky, but that the Limerick team he's in, you could poke any sort of ball out to any of those Limerick players, and a high ball, a low ball, a 50-50 ball. Every player in that Limerick team would win any type of ball that Nicky would poke out.
Yeah, so he's blessed with that. Like he's good ball winners receiving the ball, but again, all those ball winners who can win a 50-50 ball, that's the last throw of the dice, win a 50-50 ball. You don't want that. You want to win obviously an easier ball than that. So they have to make the movements to create that opportunity for Nicky. So Gerard Hegarty can win 50-50, Tom Morrissey can win 50-50, Keane Lynch can win 50-50, but if you have a choice between winning 50-50 and then so you thought an easier ball, you want to go for the easier ball because it means you're guaranteed to retain possession, and that's what Nicky brings. Obviously, he's a great target to hit in the half hour line, but if that half hour line stand up static and don't create that space, then they know Nicky's going to find it's you're just going to have a battle there, and that's exactly what the opposition wants. So the movement of the half hour line and their ability to find space, and then for Nicky to know the space they're finding and then hit it, like there's a lot of training ground work on that.
Let's say then we move on to the full back line now. What was the full back line, Andrew?
Mine,
Yeah. So
it was I moved
yeah,
you Lawler out of fullback. I put in cornerback. I put Dan Morrissey fullback, and I put Barry Nash cornerback.
yeah. That's a very good. Like we said, I suppose in the when we were discussing the All Star, Hugh Lawler had a phenomenal year for Kilkenny, so he's very worthy of his place in the full back line. and you know, Tom Morrissey as well. Still, you know, that the whole full back line was very steady. I suppose, you know, really each one of those players, they stick to their players like glue, and you know, if they once they get the ball, it's very hard to get the ball off of them, and you know, unless you're in space, unless you're a forward and you're in space, you know, you have no hope against them, because if they, you know, they're great ball winners, like kind of like we were saying with Nicky. So that's a formidable backline.
Yeah, and I was only at the wedding at the weekend on Friday, and Dan was there, and I didn't realize I met him a few times before, but I didn't realize every time I meet him, he's so physically big and empowering. And again, when you're watching O'Loughlin's at the weekend, I saw you being interviewed afterwards. Again, he's a massive man as well. Like so, yeah, it's like it's all been good saying these lads are good and on the ball, but when you come up stand up beside them, they're quite intimidating figures. So not only are they big, they're again like all backs that you hate to see. They can hurl and they're good in the air. Barry Nash, Dan, and you all are exceptionally there, but they can hurl as well, and that's the biggest worry of a forward when you're marking a back, when the back is marking you, is if he out hurls you, and you don't want that, and all three of those can.
And like when you look at all those three, that full back line individually and collectively, we've seen them throughout the summer, like in the championship. We've seen every sort of ball coming in on top of them, and 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, they won every ball. And you know, that's you know, if I was a goalkeeper, you know that relationship between the goalkeeper and the full back line, you'd be delighted to have those lads in front of you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like they give a calming presence, and that's what you want in your last line of defense. You don't want someone jittery and nervous on the ball. You want a calming influence. Even if the forward gets the ball, they're still calm, and they'll just go about, get a hook and a block, and just stop the quality ball being struck over the bar. And that's what you want in your defense. Obviously, if they can hurl, that's all very good. But you like if your cornerback doesn't touch the ball and the corner forward doesn't touch the ball, that's a good day's hurling for a cornerback, even though he didn't actually hurl. But nowadays, when they actually do get in the ball, they're expected to hurl, and all three of those are superb hurling. And you see the club, like, so Barry Nash hurls centre forward for his club, Hugh Lawler's out midfield centre back for O'Loughlin's, and Dan is out centre back for a hand. Like, so they're all good, dominant players in their club team, and they hurl outfield, so they're comfortable on the ball. And that's a, as I said, it's a tough man to be marked. Have on you then, the fella that's going out hurl you.
And that takes us on to the half back line then, Andrew.
Yeah, so my boys. And this kicked in at all Limerick half back line. Derek Burns, Willie Donoghue, and Kyle Hayes. I thought Willie Donoghue was superb. He only played 2 matches there, but they're the 2 most important matches of the year. Semi-final finals, for the first time ever to play centre back for your county team in a semi-final and Ireland final. It is a huge ask, and I thought he delivered superbly. Different to Declan Hannon, of course. He's a more physical presence, Declan Hannon, and not as free-flowing and clever on the ball with one hand, but he did a great job there. So I felt he was, if you're moving players around the field for positions, I feel moving into centre back frees up a space for a deserving player, another deserving player midfield. So the 2 boys, Kyle and Diarmuid, like, there's no question, they're the standout halfbacks of the year. You argue nearly say of this decade, and then you could even go further saying of this generation. They're superb. Like, Diarmuid Burns is now the highest scoring defender of all times, and he's another 4 or 5 years in him to increase that. And Kyle Hayes is just, he's beyond description. He does everything you expect a halfback not to do. He can run the length of field, score a goal. He'll get points when you need points. He get a hook, a block, catch. He's super. I think that's a dominant halfback line.
Yeah, and I suppose really, you know, the good thing about that half back line is, I mean, you know, we'll move on to the midfield, I suppose, in a minute, is, you know, anyone in that half back line is adaptable. You could bring any one of them into midfield as well. You know, I mean, throughout a game, you know, you could have, and likewise, I'm sure with the midfield, you could kind of interchange them throughout the game if there was any switches, and they'd be very comfortable.
Yeah, so if you're moving Diarmuid, the only place to kind of move Diarmuid would be to the half into centre back, because that's where he hurls for the club. Willie Donoghue, obviously, he's a midfielder. He played all his hurling there in midfield prior to the 2 semi-final and final, and then Kyle Hayes is all set up centre forward, and he plays in the forwards as well. He's like, you can play him anywhere. He hasn't tried midfield that often, but again, the engine that he has, it's rare when you get a ball on the ball, normally slows down a fraction, but he seems to run faster, and once he gets a gallop up, he's near impossible to stop. So all those they offer a good dynamic to Limerick. So if you're not going well in a certain position, or someone else isn't going well in the team, you can just interchange and they do a job for you, and they're super. And not alone would do a job, they'll excel in wherever they move.
And I suppose with those three as well, out of the three of them, I suppose Kyle Hayes would be the most kind of attacking. Like he tends to come forward a lot more than maybe the other two, but the other two as well, given their power and their cohesion, all the aspects you look for in a half back line. They could nearly score from the half back line. They don't have to kind of run forward. But I suppose you could say Kyle Hayes is kind of more of a playmaker from the half back line, if you know what I mean. Is that something you'd agree with?
Yes, well, they're both playmakers in that sense. So Diarmid will get points from 100 yards, but if you hit the ball down as a goalkeeper, you can't hit the ball down top of Diarmid Burns because whether he's going to win it or not, the ball won't be won over his head invariably. The way to get at Diarmid Burns is to go ball delivered low into half hard line and take him on that way. And Kilkenny had some amount of success in the final when they did that, but then Limerick recalibrated and resetting and solved that. And then Kyle Hayes, you can't hit the ball down anyway on top of him. It has to beat him. Otherwise, he'll just gobble it up all day long because he's probably the most dominating Gaelic hurler out there at the moment. The sheer strength and size and athleticism of him. It's a no-go area. You can't hit the ball on top of him because it will come back.
And if he goes by you as well, you might as well forget about it. You won't catch up with him because he has serious speed as well.
Yeah, so the best thing you can do is the minute he gets the ball, is try to encounter him, then stop getting any momentum. And dare I say, you can't go away free because Darren Buns will invariably put it over. So you have to legally hold him up for a split second just so he gets support until you overcrowd him, and then he's forced to lay off the ball. But if he gets a hit of steam, there's no stopping him. To be honest, it's frightening for teams.
And of course, that takes us on to the midfield.
Yeah, so Dara, again, I thought he had an excellent year. I think this year was the first year that people actually talking about him as a quality midfielder. He goes about his business so quiet, but then people see nowadays what a link figure he is in the centre of the field. Like, he just literally picks up the ball, delivers into Galan and Shamey inside the full forward line, and that has been probably missed by viewers for the last number of years. But this year they really saw how important he is to Limerick. So he's fully deserving of his All-Star this year and his position on whatever sort on our team. And then the other one I would have given it to Shane O'Donnell. I'm sorry, not sorry, Dave Fitzgerald. I thought he had a superb year midfield. He's like Dara Dunn. He's the driving force for that team. He'll get the ball and he's gone. He's physically very, very like Will O'Donoghue, who's in his physique, very fast going forward. But what he has that Will O'Donoghue maybe doesn't have, he's more accurate from play, and he takes on more shots because of that, and he gets good scores. And I thought he had a good year. I thought he was, if by moving Will O'Donoghue centre back, I think I thought he would have been a little more deserving of an All-Star than his county mate, John Conlon. I thought David Fitz had an excellent year for Clare.
And I suppose, like, when you take we say the half back line and the midfield, I suppose in the modern game of hurling, the way it's played, they're really, you couldn't say that they're two different. The full back line or the half back line and midfield are separate. They're nearly kind of interconnected in many ways because they are the launching pad for attacks, and indeed, well, I suppose in some cases, the scorers as well. A lot of scores come from the half back line and midfield as well. The way the game has gone now.
Yeah, that's exactly so. Like, there's no set. Like, you have your positions that you line out, that you start, that you name, and then you have the positions that you play on the day. So, from a training perspective, your full forward line, your full back line will do the trains, same running, fast, short running, because that's all they're required to do. Your half forward line and half back line will do longer runs, and your midfielders then do the long, consistent runs. And then when that translates into the match, that just means that players are able to adapt and move between the lines because they know what's required and they know the amount of run they need to do and their job spec. So anywhere from half back, midfield, half forward line, they're expected to contribute in the score sheet, no matter where you are. They're expected 1 or 2 points. And if you have, say, that's 6, 3, 6, that's 8 players. Of those 8 players, if each of those players contributes 2 points, that's 16 points. And then, like, invariably you're going to get scores on your full forward line and free. So that's a massive advantage. That's all teams have to do. Fairly simple.
And when you look at the average amount of we say when you look throughout all the championship, it's been in a lot of matches, there has been a lot of high scoring results. Even the losing team will put up could put up a really high score and still not win it. And so we say a losing team could put up a high score of, we say, 216, Now, maybe in previous years that would have won any match or even an All Ireland, but not nowadays. You could score 216 and still be on the losing side in any game in the championship, be it like the round robin series in Leinster or Munster, or a Munster final or Leinster final, or all in the All Ireland. It just goes to show you, I suppose, how the game has changed, and the how more scores there has been, and there are in matches nowadays compared to, we say, maybe in your when we were playing or when you were playing.
Yeah, of course. I think they scored. I think whatever Kilkenny got in the final, 218 or thereabouts. That was a score that would have won. I think the last 5 or 6, maybe 7 All Ireland. So they lost the All Ireland final convincingly in the end by, I think it's 8 points. But their scoring was so high they would have won, I think, 10 of the last All Irelands. So it's just it's crazy. It's great to see from a spectator's point of view, but from a manager's point of view, I'd say it could pull your hair out. So do you focus on defending, or do you focus on all-out scoring? Obviously, you have to do a bit of both, but teams are more willing to take on the long-range shots, because the percentage rates of success are lowering because they're doing so much practice and training, and they're training the way they play. And that's all down to Paul Kinnock game-based training. That's all developed around that. And if you're shooting in training, invariably, if you're getting the scores in training, you want to do the same thing in match, because the match won't be that much different, bar you're playing an opposition as well as your county teammates. So if you're doing it in training, you're doing it against county caliber, even though it's only training. So if you're getting 5 of the 8 shots you take, invariably in a match, you're probably going to get the same, because you're playing against a different county, but you're still playing against quality county players. So it's just the way teams train. That's why the scoring is going so high. I definitely think.
That's it. And moving on to the half forward line, there's a lot of contenders for. Well, we'll move on to that afterwards. But what is your half forward line?
Well, my 2 half forwards in them were Shane O'Donnell and Tom Morrissey. I thought they were exceptional throughout the year. I thought they were, like, Shane O'Donnell is really really showing what sort of a intercounty hurler he is. He's the most reliable player on the Clare team all year, consistency wise, and that's including Tony Kelly. I think Shane O'Donnell, while he mightn't score as much as Tony Kelly because he doesn't take frees, he offers a lot to Clare, and he gets you that real goal chance, that goal threat that Tony Kelly doesn't offer as consistently as you'd like. So when Shane O'Donnell gets the ball, his first instinct is go for goal. If it's not on, then he'll set up the score or take the point himself. And then again, Tom Morrissey, Tom Morrissey shut out the lights during Munster. He wasn't as prevalent in the All Ireland series, but the one thing I'll say about Tom Morrissey, and the thing that I particularly like about him, is he might get 2 points a game. You go, Tom Morrissey was quiet, but when Limerick are on the rocks and you're struggling, you're in the crowd and go, right, we need a score. Tom will get that score. He's like Keane Lynch. They mightn't be in the game as much as they'd like, or much the supporter would like, but when they get the score, they're actually defining scores in the game. They're the score to break the duck, get 2 points back into the game, or put you 3 or 4 points up. They're real critical. There's some, like, all scores are equal. We all agree. But there's junctures in the game when you need a score, and it's worth more than the actual score. And Tom Morrissey is a man to get that. So they're my 2 half forwards. I'm trying to struggle now. I can't remember can you remember who I sent forward? I can't actually remember at the moment now.
Well, Keane Lynch is more a midfielder, isn't he? You couldn't put him in half forward line.
I'm trying to think. It's case, at the moment. Yeah, I'm thinking. I hadn't tip Cork. Galway. I actually can't. It's gone from me, Aidan. Sorry. Apologies.
Well, maybe, Jason Ford, I suppose, with the exception of I know he was out injured, but Jason Ford had a fairly good when he was playing. I mean, over the last couple of years, he was playing quite good for Tipperary. There's 1 or 2 players that would, from a tip point of view, that would have that might have got in there as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But the only thing about Tipperary is they were gone. They didn't get out of Munster, so you can't give them the opportunity for that. As I said at the time, I felt it was better from a Limerick perspective if Tipperary advanced out of Munster rather than Cork, because I thought Cork were on an upward trend and they're actually genuinely improving every game, and they gave Limerick a right rattle, and they didn't get out of Munster because the results are the way. But I thought they were going the right direction, Tipperary going the opposite direction, and subsequently it was kind of proved right, I think. So I think Tipperary very fast after that, and Cork were obviously gone in Munster, unfortunately. So
that's it, and that takes us on to the full forward line then, and this is I'm sure it's a serious players in this full forward line.
Yeah, so I'd Galway and 2 Limerick. So Aaron Glenn full forward and Peter Casey corner forward, and then I'd Whelan half or the other corner forward. I thought he was again, every team has a marquee player, a marquee forward, and consistently throughout the year he was definitely he was the ball win again. Sign of good forward. If you're not involved in the game, ball goes in, you win a key ball and you get a key score. And he was doing that all year. I don't know, did he get 3 or 4 goals throughout the championship? But again, they're all key goals when Galway needed it. He was his real leadership potential, not potential. He displays leadership every time he goes out. He's absolutely superb. And again, you can hit the ball anyway into him, high, low. He's physically so strong. And people kind of undermine and say he's small, but he's actually not small. He's a big man. And then he's a key advantage of being, in my opinion, being left-handed, because Hose Hurl's left-handed is always that bit more hard for defender to mark a left-handed player, because you're not used to it. It's just unpredictable. And he had a great year. So he's deserving his spot. And then Gillan, sure, there's no point even discussing him. So he's marking 2 men every game. So he's taken up that spare man. He still scores. He's extremely strong in the air, and he's extremely clever in the air. So getting the ball and winning. The only thing about that, if I'd improvements for him from a corner, not from he taking improvements from me, but I think he maybe should take on the man a bit more. So he gets the ball, he runs out, hits it over his shoulder, that's excellent. But if he drops the shoulder and takes on his man, invariably he's going to get a free, or else if he doesn't get a free, he's through and he's given a goal opportunity. So maybe if he wanted to evolve his game even further, which was frightening for other defenders and other counties, I think if he kind of targeted trying to get a few more goals per game where he takes on the man as opposed to catch the ball over him. But again, that's only my own opinion. And then Peter Casey, I thought, again, like Tom Morrissey, Peter Casey gets scores when you need him. Obviously, you need scores all the time, but he gets them the vital scores. And I think, definitely, he's the most accurate player in the Limerick team. If he gets the ball, he might miss one a game or one every 2 games, but he's consistently the most accurate player from any position. And the scores he got in Dollar and final 5 points from play in 1/2 on arguably, well, the all-star cornerback as a proof. So he got 5 points off Mikey Butler. How Kilkenny didn't move Mikey Butler off him earlier, I don't know, but Peter Casey, I thought he was deserving of an all-star. He didn't get it, but he has one already. So I thought he was deserving of a place in our team.
That's it. So that's the team of the year now. I suppose we kind of go through the team again, and maybe in each position see who maybe had a case for getting in the team. So I know, like we were saying about Nicky Quaid there, obviously Stonewall, but we say who else was maybe in contention for the goalkeeping position? Obviously Owen Murphy played very well consistently, but maybe not maybe as spectacularly as Nicky English or Nicky Quaid, but still did the job sufficiently well, and he did well. So I suppose he'd be one contender anyway, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's clear and sure. He got the All-Star. He was fully deserving of the All-Star, but I just said in comparison to the way Nicky performed this year, Nicky was equally deserving, if not a tiny bit more, but that's my own viewpoint. Clearly that doesn't hold much weight, but he'd own a great year. So again, his save against Clare kept Kilkenny in the All-Ireland Championship, got into the final. That was a season defining save, and he can make the basic saves. He make the basic saves look mundane, but he can do the spectacular saves as well. No, it was an extra save, and again, his distribution is quality. It's one of the top distributors of ball in the championship. But again, in my view, I think it's not up to Nicky's Quaid's high standards. But again, he's a superb hurler. And the thing I always say about Owen and Nicky, the thing that makes them such good goalies is that they play outfield with their club. They both play centre back with their club, and that just has a natural hurling ability. And when you get the ball, when you get a ball centre back, you don't panic what you're going to do. You just naturally do it, and you see goalkeeping style. They get the ball and they don't panic. They just look for the pass, and just hurl the ball out, as opposed to clear it. They hurl it out. And he got the All-Star so himself, so he'd be happy enough.
And that takes us. I'd say there was a few in the full back line that were in contention for getting into our team of the year as well.
Yeah, sure. Mikey Butler got in the All-Star team cornerback, and he deserving of it to a certain extent. But if you concede 5 points in an All-Ireland final, I don't think, no matter how good you do in the semi-final on the marquee player in the hurling, if you concede 5 points from play, I don't think you did your job in the final, and I don't think you're deserving of that. But his consistency throughout the year, through the Leinster Championship, and particularly and specifically when he's marking Tony Kelly, that's 2 years in a row now. He's marked Tony Kelly out of the game, so for that alone, he deserved the plaudits there. Who else is unlucky? I thought Mike Casey. No, not many people talk about Mike Casey. He's style of hurling, but he is solid as a rock. He just, nothing goes through Mike Casey. He's just clever. If he can't out hurl you, he'll out-psych you, he'll out-muscle you. He's the type of hurler you want on your team. And two of them can feel aggrieved. Not that they'll be listening, but
You never know.
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, so that brings us on to the half back line.
Yeah, so John Conlon, obviously, he had a great year. He's always our centre back, but he doesn't make our team. Great year. It's just a preference of positional changes. I think the team is more evenly balanced with him not in it, because that frees up Will O'Donoghue and leaves Davy Fiss in midfield. But again, like, if you go with the other team, he's with him centre back and Will O'Donoghue centre field. That's still an equally strong team. So he's unlucky not to get into our team.
And that takes us into midfield then. I suppose,
Yeah.
well, Keane Lynch, I think he was kind of injured, wasn't he, for the previous season, and then just kind of come back in maybe at a certain point in this season. But he's still a class hurler, most notably in midfield. But I think there's a few other positions that maybe he'd probably do well in. But I suppose, you have to pick a player in the position that they played. But sometimes you can pick a player in one position and then they could be moved throughout the match or whatever. But
yeah, so Keane Lynch came back for the semi-final and he wasn't at his best, but he had vital impacts in the game, throughout the game, but not consistently. In the final, that totally changed. So you could play Keane midfield or you could play in centre forward. I think moving into centre forward won the All-Ireland for Limerick. Davy Reedy was centre forward and he wasn't getting much joy of Reedy centre back. So he was clean up, to be honest, centre back, and Davy Reedy was kind of a tiny bit out of his depth. But when they moved Keane Lynch up centre forward and Davy Reedy out midfield, Davy Reedy actually played extremely well after that move out midfield, and Keane Lynch just totally he actually did change the game. He won the game for Limerick with that move, that position move alone, because he forced Kilkenny to push up and mark him. And then when you mark him, if Keane Lynch gets the ball in his hand, that's your job. You can't do anything else. You can spoil him, but he's going to get the ball. Once he gets the ball in his hand, you just have to watch where the ball is going. And it's very hard because even Keane Lynch doesn't know where the ball is going sometimes, the way he fixes it about. But yeah, for this team, yeah, we play midfield.
And that takes us on to the half forward line.
So half forward line, TJ Reid, of course, and Tony Kelly. They're the two. If I wasn't playing, they're the two that, like, TJ Reid got his All-Star there, and Tony Kelly didn't get an All-Star. Much maligned that he didn't get it, but I feel the two of them were extremely good during the year, but not good to the merit getting an award. Tony Kelly, 2 years in a row, he hasn't performed in the semi-final, and you can say, well, Mikey Butler did a great job, but that's the job of a defender, is to nullify the forward. And if you know what's coming and you can't do anything about it, that's reflective on you to a certain extent. So while he had a great year, he could possibly make many teams, but he's not going to make our team. He's unlucky not to make it. And TJ made the All-Star team. TJ Reid has a reputation far beyond anything we can ever hope to or dream to get. Unlucky to miss out, possibly so, but from my viewpoint, he didn't do enough from play in my eyes. Catching ball, of course, you can't compare him to anyone ability to catch a ball and win a free. He does that and he converts the frees, but you need to be contributing more to the team these days in the way of link play and work rate and stuff. But again, that's father time, unfortunately, and that's why I wouldn't have TJ on my team.
I suppose really when you think of Tony Kelly, and he is a class player and things like that, and I suppose there is the argument, like, last year and this year he played well both seasons, but I suppose if you look at last year, maybe more specifically, maybe in the Munster final and maybe in the Munster Championship in general, but he really stood out in the Munster Championship last year. I think some people would argue maybe that he was more effective last year throughout the championship than this year. But I suppose maybe that's just the way it goes. I suppose that's the way I saw it. But yeah, so some people would argue that he was more effective last year than this season. Is that something you go along with? Others might say that he was more effective this season than last season. I suppose it depends on what you look for.
Yeah, I think he was equally efficient this season as opposed to last season as well. So he's always the main threat for Clare, no matter what. In Munster, he was superb in Munster this year. Very unlucky not to win Munster. But then, not through no fault of his own, in the semi-final, they kind of employed different tactics against Kilkenny. They changed up maybe it was a way of Brian Owen to surprise Kilkenny or something like that, but it didn't work. It backfired, and then Tony Kelly gets the brunt of that because everyone's watching Tony Kelly because he's the marquee forward. He's going to make Clare win. But you can kind of play him out of the game as well by not having the setup right. And that was part of it as well. Like that's part of contributed to Clare's own downfall. They changed the system, and then all of a sudden when they decided it wasn't working, went back to what was working all through the year. And they got back in the game, and they were very unlucky not to win it. And you wonder if they stuck with the system and they trusted their own system from the start of the game, would be talking about a different story this time of year.
And that takes us on to the full forward line then. Who was lucky to miss out on the full forward line?
Yeah, well, Peter Casey made it, so he's not unlucky. Shamie Flanagan hadn't as an influential All-Ireland series as he normally has, as in from scoring wise, but he contributed a lot more than that. So the movement he makes and the ability to win the ball, the high ball, the dirty ball, and set up scores means that he was unlucky. Like he had a good year, he had a great year, but not great on the scoring side of things. So that's maybe why he missed out. Slightly unlucky. I don't think Galan works as well without Shamie Hickey or without Shamie Flanagan. So for that reason alone, he's unlucky to miss out. There's a few more around as well. Like so, you go into Mark Rogers had a great year, young hurler of the year. He had a fantastic year. He was a great addition to that Clare team. So he was unlucky as well. But again, for all stars, you're kind of measured on. Unfortunately, no matter what you do in the provincial championship or the league, you're more or less measured on semi-final or quarter-final, semi-final, final. So that's why a few of them are unlucky to miss out. But you can see why they miss out then.
Yeah, it's the competition was fierce as it always is, I suppose. In the for teams of the year and all stars, and yeah, so that takes us on then to I suppose our player of the year. Yeah, this hard to pick it, but I suppose based on the quality of Limerick, I'm sure it's a Limerick man.
Yeah, so like Aaron was totally deserving of his player of the year. Just for argument's sake, if you're going for someone else, I wouldn't have minded if Kyle Hayes got it either, because I thought he was excellent all year. He was the lad that he got him through the Munster Championship in some of his runs and some of his contributions, and he always does the simple thing right. He always recycles the ball. He always takes a shot on when the shot is on to be scored, and he scores it invariably. And he just offers so much of a threat. Like so, it's unusual and it's hard for a defending team to be. You're looking at their forwards and watch them run from midfield. You're looking to track those and you plan all those, but it's very hard to plan for a half back running faster than you up the field. So for that alone, that threat alone, I think if he got it, he would have been deserving of it. But that's not to take away from the fantastic year Aaron had.
Yeah, and I suppose the young player of the year, there's so many lovely young hurlers to choose from in this category, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm very Limerick biased. He wasn't even nominated, but I thought Cathal Neal had fantastic year. So he started in Munster. He contributed 2, 3, 4 points a game. And then the All-Ireland series, he was back on the bench. But every time he came on, he got 2, 3 points. And he got the last point in Ireland final just to put the bow on top of the present. I thought he was unlucky not to be nominated, but he was unlucky not to. He didn't win it. I thought he could have won it, but he was very unlucky not to even get nominated. And I know if you're not starting in the semi-final and final, it's very hard to make a case for the year. But again, you have to look at this. It's gone from a day and age of 1 to 15, it's 1 to 20. And if you're number 19 coming on and you're getting 2, 3 points a game, that's still a massive contribution. And if you're doing that consistently, that's no matter if you're the class of the young hurler, you're doing that consistency, that should be taken into consideration. It wasn't, but again, it won't bother him either because he's got his All-Ireland medal, he'll be happy enough.
And of course, that takes us on to score of the year. I suppose this could be I'll tell you what. To be fair, we'll have it as we say point of the year and goal of the year, because if you have one score, then someone might go for a point and someone would say it should have been a goal. So, for you, the goal of the year, I suppose there are a number of contentions, but I suppose really when you look at the Leinster final and Kilkenny's comeback, that last minute goal for Kilkenny, that was that was a real pressure goal to kind of win it in the end for Kilkenny. But there were many other goals that were in contention as well, Andrew.
It was, of course, yeah, fantastic goals all throughout the year. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's struck, mishit and it rolls in, or it's struck from 30 yards, like top corner, it's still 3 points. So a goal is a goal. For that reason, what you just alluded to, Cillian Buckley's last minute goal, while not aesthetically pleasing and came from who you wouldn't expect, Cillian Buckley, I said, probably his first shot ever on goal for a goal. and he got it. It was placed perfectly, hidden by the defenders. Keeper couldn't see it. And again, literally it was the last puck. It's the thing dreams are made of. Last puck of the game, 2 points down, get a goal to win the game. Game blown up, and you win a provincial championship. That was for the whole background and history of that and the context of the game. I think that was probably goal of the season for me anyway.
And point of the season, there's many great points. I mean, there's, like I said, there's been points from nearly the half back line in a lot of matches. A great match and a game. I was great. I was delighted to be at Limerick versus Tip in the round robin. That was very contentious and a great game of hurling. But I suppose if you were to go for point of the year, which point would you have gone for?
Yeah, it's very hard to pick 1 point out of the whole year. So you've the Leinster Championship, Ulster Championship, and Munster Championship, and there's points, as you said, scored from 100 yards and in, or from all angles. But it all has to be taken into consideration context of the game. So for that reason, I'm not picking point of the year. I'm picking points of the year, and I'm giving both to Peter Casey for All Ireland final in the second half, from Hogan stand and from Cusack stand out on the sideline. He looked like he was in the Pierce and Carradavin pucking around. There was no one around him, and he was standing 20 yards out in front of goals. There was such ease. But that's what I say about him. In my view, I think he's the most accurate player on the Limerick team. So his shot to score ratio has to be in the high 90s. And like when you see a fella shooting up, you're kind of putting your hands in your eyes. Oh, don't shoot. But anytime Peter Casey gets the ball, I'm saying score. And that's a proved case. Like the pressure, the noise around the stadium at that moment, being on the sideline, closest of all, you'd argue, to the noise. You couldn't get any closer being on the sideline, and just a turn, little dink, drop the shoulder, pop it onto his right and stick it over the bar. Like both those scores were inspiring.
And I suppose that takes us on. That's points of the year, and now I suppose saves of the year. A lot of people probably would have went for Owen Murphy's save in the semi-final, but there were many fine saves throughout the championship.
Of course, again, it goes down to the effort and time these goalkeepers are putting in. It's not just the case turn up and puck out the balls for the outfield players nowadays. You're playing a whole session one-on-one goalkeeping, so balls coming from every angle. So you have sub goalies inside being tested, then they're testing the goalie trying to get their place. It's like, but it comes out again. It all comes down like this. It's not even of everything we've talked about today. This is not in contention. It's just straightforward. Owen Murphy, without doubt, probably one of the best saves I've ever seen. And again, all these things have to be taken into context. Like if he's playing for his club in Kilkenny and he made that save, if he went back and goals, made that save, and you'd hear, he made a great save, but you take no notice because it's a club game. Take no notice. This is All Ireland semi-final. 2 points in the game. Peter Duggan, who is audacious in these shots for Clare throughout the years, he always takes on. If there's a goal chance, half a goal chance, he'll take it on, and invariably he gets it. And it was a great goal. Like if he hit that ball a centimetre any other way, it was gone in. Just the fact that he hit it where he hit it still doesn't mean Owen Murphy should have got to it. But like Owen Murphy, like it's hard to say unless you get the angle from behind the stand or the terrace. Like his vision was blocked. He saw that literally a second before he puts hurley up. So the time to react to that is very hard to describe how good that save was. But no, that was a fantastic save, and I feel sorry for all the other good saves throughout the year are made, because it's like soccer when you see, that's goal of the season, and no matter what scored since then or for the rest of the season, it's not going to compare. But again, that's Owen Murphy save. It's a save of the generation. The only pity I suppose Owen Murphy would have was he'd prefer to make that save in the All Ireland final for Kilkenny to win. But again, beggars can't be choosers.
I'll go from next year, I suppose. Really, that's the way it is. So, so that's our team of the year, player of the year, young player of the year, goal and point of the year, and moment and save of the year. So, some very interesting notes. The things that we noted there as well, and of course, great All Ireland semi-finals as well. St Thomas's versus Ballygunner, and of course, O'Loughlin Gales and Cushendall. They were great semi-finals as well. So so we might look back on that actually in our moments of the year. We look back at our moments of the year in the new year, in our look back over the season, maybe next week or the week after. So listen, thanks very much for taking the time out to do Hurling What's the Score. Have a happy Christmas to yourself and your family, and we look forward to talking to you again soon, Andrew.
Likewise, say the same to you.